Hi Dita.
Hi.
Thank you for talking to handbag.com.
Thank you.
I wanted to start by asking you about fashion, first of all. I can't start without asking you what you're wearing today because you look absolutely amazing.
Thank you. I'm wearing a Seal Chapman from the 50s. Seal Chapman was Marilyn Monroe's favorite dress designer. And the brooch is also vintage, probably from the 50s as well.
Do you do a lot of vintage shopping yourself, or?
Yeah, I think, my lack of funds was what first made me shop vintage in the early 90s. And so I felt like there were a lot of designers that were sort of being influenced by vintage clothes, and so I would sort of like see pictures in magazines and then see things in vintage shops that reminded me of like Vivienne Westwood or John Galliano, and that was sort of my way of getting that look for less. And so I've had an ongoing love affair with vintage clothes for many, many years.
Do you have an enormous collection now?
Yeah, I have a pretty good collection.
Where do you store it all?
I have a room devoted, 2 rooms devoted to my collection in my house in LA, and then I also have a storage space where I keep things, and I kind of go shopping in my own storage unit every now and then and go pick different things out.
That must be so nice because you must forget things that you've bought.
Yeah, it is a little like, or there's things that I bought many, many years ago and I never could really figure out how to wear it, and then eventually I figured it out, so it's like having, I rediscover things that I couldn't understand how to wear originally, and then if I start playing around with it, then I'll figure it out.
Do you enjoy the whole fashion circus, going to the collections?
I wish sometimes I could just go and be invisible and go see all of the shows, because it's a little bit of that, like the media stuff gets a little bit tense, like a little bit intense sometimes when you have people like grabbing, and they're I think there's a lot of people go to fashion shows to get press for themselves, but really, like, I just love seeing the show, and I'm really interested to see the clothes moving under the lights.
Of course, you modelled in Moschino a couple of seasons
ago. I did,
yeah,
and I'm a big fan of Moschino.
How was that experience? Did you enjoy being on the catwalk?
It was really great. I think I loved the clothes, and that the whole inspiration for the collection that I modeled for was things that I love, like all of the same influences I have, like the art of John Willie and like vintage fetishistic imagery and pinup, and so I really loved the clothes. I was crazy for the clothes.
So are you planning to do any more modelling at all?
I walked a runway for Moschino, and I walked in Jean-Paul Gaultier at the Haute Couture, and I really feel like it's not really anywhere to go from there. I get a lot of people that ask me if I'll walk in their shows, and it's sort of like, well, it's got to be like more than that, and so I don't want to take a step down. Once you are on the Haute Couture catwalk, yes, it's like, where do you go from there? So
I wanted to ask you, whose style do you admire at the moment? I mean, there's all these people, Lady Gaga with the fabulous,
Yeah, I mean, I think Lady Gaga, since you brought her up, I think she's really great to watch, and I'm really happy to see someone daring to be different and be eccentric, because we don't see that very much anymore. It feels like there's a real formula that people are following in celebrity culture, and everyone wants to be considered tasteful and fashionable, and a lot of people are afraid of breaking the rules and of being singled out and mocked for their eccentricities. And so I think it's great that someone like her has come along that really doesn't care about being called pretty or being called like stylish. I think it's great that someone's being an entertainer and being entertaining, and so she's the first one that comes to mind.
And from the past, do you draw inspiration from anyone in particular?
Yeah,
or is it
I mean, most of my icons of fashion and beauty are women from the past, because I feel like there's a real overstyling of Hollywood happening, and we really don't need to see another girl trying to look like a modern Grace Kelly. My icons of the past are sort of like Marlene Dietrich, who, was ridiculed for wearing trousers in Paris, and it's sort of like people that were willing to break the rules of fashion to make an impact. I really like people that have a really strong sense of style, and that their image makes them instantly recognizable. Like when you look at Marilyn Monroe, it's like she was very true to what she was, and it didn't falter.
Do you wish you'd been born in that era? Do you feel like you were born in the wrong era, or?
Sometimes. I mean, I guess I like being around now, because if I weren't around now, then, you know, maybe I wouldn't be, you know, I think maybe it wouldn't be very unique what I do. But then again, if I were around then, maybe I'd be dressing in turn of the century clothes or something outrageous. I don't know. But I'm happy about living now, although I think it would be nice to be able to wear like extravagant hats and gloves and all these extravagant clothes and not be, you know, on the street and not be mocked for it or questioned why. So sometimes I fantasize about living in a different era when I could dress head to toe in full glamour every day during the day, and it was considered normal instead of being.
A lot of girls feel like that. There's not really enough opportunities to dress up these days. It's
and
weddings. And
if you wear like a fantastic hat during the day in the street, people say, "Where are you going? Why are you dressed like that?" And it's maybe one of the most annoying questions in the world. Like, why do we have to have a reason to dress up or to be glamorous or to have fun? Why do we have to have a reason for it? And I hate it when people ask me why.
I was going to say,
why not?